How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Mother SpongeBob. Now, today is May 25th, 2021, and today we're going to focus on the major severe weather outbreak that's expected to impact not only the Midwest but the Northeast this week. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather accounts, and make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather accounts. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar. By the way, it's around 1:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right now. And taking a look at the radar, as of right now, we do see a pretty large area of thunderstorm activity throughout the southern Midwest and into Texas, where we do see some heavier bouts of rain scattered around through Dallas and then into Fort Smith as well, and the northwestern portion of Arkansas. And this extends to even Missouri and Illinois. However, despite the heavy rain we're seeing associated with these thunderstorms, none of them are necessarily severe just yet. The atmosphere hasn't destabilized enough just yet to really induce just very buoyant air molecules to support severe thunderstorm development. However, that is expected to change today, and unfortunately, it's only going to get worse for a lot of United States from here on out when it comes to severe weather, because we're expecting the next mid-level trough coming from the Pacific Northwest to move into the Midwest, and it'll pretty much set the stage for just a very unstable atmosphere throughout the Midwest to induce very potent severe weather threats. So, taking a look overall, you see that most of the United States is dry besides the Midwest. And while originally speaking, the severe weather threat for today was expected to be weak, now the Storm Prediction Center, interestingly, has changed its forecast, and it's now predicting a slightly higher chance of severe weather, more specifically in the southern plains and into the Great Lakes regions, where we do see an area of a slight severe weather risk, which is pretty much equivalent to a moderate severe weather risk. So we certainly need to keep that in mind. And the primary reason why is because we still do have that trough in the in southern Canada right now that's just bringing strong northwesterly winds into this region. And while it isn't bringing a ton of instability, it's at least enough to induce at least some severe weather throughout the Midwest and just east of the Mississippi River Valley for the most part. So, taking a look at the temperatures, you're gonna see that if you see that you do see a noticeable contrast in terms of temperature, because in South Dakota, in the eastern South Dakota, it goes up to 77, but if you only go, I'd say, less than 100 miles west, you're already close to the 50-degree range. So there's a pretty stark contrast when it comes to temperature, and this even extends further southward. So that certainly raises the risk of severe weather as a result of the instability. That cold air is going to force a lot of that warmer, very energy filled air molecules further upwards along with the water vapor, and since it's going to rise so rapidly, that pretty much creates the severe weather threat throughout the Midwest for today. So we certainly need to keep that in mind for today for a lot of you guys. And in terms of the risks, so I wouldn't say that today is going to be a huge tornado risk, because the upper level winds will be relatively weak for a severe weather outbreak to really create a ton of supercell thunderstorms that could induce a tornado threat. However, damaging winds and large hail are certainly possible because of how much convective available potential energy is in the atmosphere for today. Because if we just take a look at the convective available potential energy for today, while it isn't a ton, you do see the grays, you do see at least some convective available potential energy within 24 hours, where it's around the range of 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is enough to support a severe weather threat. And look, it even extends further northward as well. So severe weather threats should be expected today throughout Texas and let me just show you guys a map to show you guys to give you a better idea of where exactly the severe weather threat will impact you guys today. And you see a severe weather threat should be expected throughout Texas, Oklahoma, and this even extends to the Great Lakes, where, like I said, large hail and damaging winds will be the primary threat, but I wouldn't be surprised if there might be a tornado or two in one of these areas. I'd say it's more probable, surprisingly enough, further northward, because we do see stronger wind shear further northward. If you take a look at the amount of wind shear right around this region, you do see that the winds in the upper levels do get quite strong, and in the mid levels of the atmosphere as well. So that certainly could raise a concern of severe weather. Taking a look at the wind shear again, and we do see a slight variation in terms of wind direction. So we could, and wind speed. So we could. It's more likely to see a tornado threat further northward, where the wind shear is a little bit stronger, and further southward, it's a little lighter than what you're going to experience further northward, since you're further away from the jet stream and the unstable air that's further up northward. So yeah, I expect severe weather threat throughout the Midwest for today, and potentially large hail and threat for a lot of you guys. But the next days become interesting, even more concerning, because if we move on to day 2 forecast is for Wednesday, we do see not only the slight severe weather risk expand a little bit, but now we're seeing enhanced risk of severe weather right around Nebraska and in the extreme northern portions of Kansas. And this severe weather threat even extends to the Northeast, where we're now entering the season for a lot of Northeast, where severe weather becomes more conducive as the sea surface temperatures begin to warm up, and so the air temperature won't really won't really stabilize the atmosphere for severe weather not to occur. So we could certainly see one of our first severe weather threats for the year for the Northeast, where a slight risk is currently forecasted, which is pretty much equivalent, like I said, to a moderate risk, because I noticed a slight risk is more like a moderate risk when it comes to the storm prediction outlook. And you see that it's an expansive area, and an enhanced risk, we could see a better chance of tornadoes, because it's not going to be associated with this low pressure system. It's going to be associated with the next low pressure system, which is going to be a mid-level low, which means that there's going to be strong mid-level flow in the atmosphere to induce just enough wind shear for a potentially major tornado outbreak to occur. If we take a look, you see the wind direction changes rapidly with height, where we do see along the surface winds are coming from the east, but in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we see that the wind directions are going the completely opposite direction, and even headed further and further. You see that we do see severe weather right around Oklahoma, and that could even produce even better chance of tornadoes associated with these this severe weather, because we do see strong wind shear in the upper levels of the atmosphere, which is very interesting, and we need to certainly keep in mind of this. And there's going to be a decently strong northerly flow on the backside of this, because you see on the northern portion of the storm, there's actually areas of some snow, which represents that there's very cold air behind this. And since a lot of the eastern half of the United States been experiencing temperatures in the 80-degree range, when you get even close to, when an 80-degree temperature area gets even close to an area that's close to freezing, that pretty much is asking for just in a very unstable atmosphere and just a lot of convective available potential energy in the atmosphere overall. If we take a look at the convective available potential energy over the next couple of days, you're going to see that it will increase once this mid-level low comes closer and closer to the Midwest. So if we move on to day 2, we begin to see that the influence of that mid-level low, where we do see just very high joules per kilogram, which is borderline at 4,000, which is just a lot of energy in the atmosphere. And even if we move further back, we do see that even the Northeast is experiencing a decent amount of convective available potential energy, which is the reason why which is why the National Weather Service is forecasting a severe weather threat for a lot of the Northeast. So this is definitely going to be something interesting to watch. I'd say the biggest tornado threat will be in the Midwest, where the wind shear will be the strongest, where the unstable air will be the strongest, where the lapse rates will be the steepest. And for the Northeast, I wouldn't rule out a tornado too, because that low that's going to move through Canada is going to bring strong wind shear to the Northeast. So we need to certainly keep in mind with that, because despite the Cape levels not being as high as, let's say, the southern United States, the wind shear will be certainly high and will be there to maybe induce a tornado or two, especially in New England, where the chance increases further northward you go, further closer to the surface low you go, the shortwave trough. So yeah, be prepared for potentially major severe weather threat. There should be a good risk, pretty high risk of large hail damaging winds. I'd say right around day 2 and day 3, especially for a lot of the Midwest. Taking a look again at the Storm Prediction Center day 2, we do see a decent amount of yellows. And then day 3, the enhanced risk expands, which is equivalent to a major risk of severe weather, where large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes should be forecasted throughout this region. So make sure to be prepared in case of tornado threat for the Midwest today. At least make sure to be aware of what to do during a tornado. Remember, it's better to be safe than sorry. Make sure to go to lower level of your house, and if you're out on the road, avoid going into underpasses, because that's the worst place you could go for a tornado, because it'll create a wind tunnel effect that will actually increase the winds if a tornado is nearby, let's say an underpass. So make sure to stay away from narrow areas, I'd say, during a tornado, and make sure to at least be underground during a tornado if it does come close to your area and you see a large severe weather threat. And then moving forward to beyond 4 days, while the predictability is currently too low, there could still be the chance of severe weather beyond the 4-day mark, because taking a look, we do see that there is a little bit of thunderstorm activity right here, and we still do see a strong northerly flow that's bringing colder air further southward. So we could see maybe some unstable air right around this region, but we need to wait and see, because predictability is still low when we're talking about forecasts beyond 4 days out. But outside of the large hail that's predicted, outside of the major tornado outbreak, we also need to keep in mind of flash flooding, because if we take a look at the flash flood forecast, we do see a slight risk right around eastern Texas, not a major risk, and a marginal risk just outside of that, but at least keep in mind that there is at least a risk of a flash flood, and we do see a slight risk day 2. However, I wouldn't be surprised if this expands day 3 once this mid-level low really gets going and really gets into an area where its destabilization is occurring. So we need to certainly keep in mind of that. And however, we don't only need to worry about flash flooding. Regular river flooding could easily be just as much of an issue, if not worse. Taking a look at the rainfall forecast, we do see areas close to 4 inches, right around 3 to 4, right around the Midwest, and we even see right around an inch of rain expected over the next 5 days into Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So we need to keep a close eye on this, because this severe weather threat could be major, and maybe some flooding could be possible, especially throughout the Midwest. So make sure to certainly keep in mind that. In terms of where exactly severe weather threat will occur over the next couple of hours, we will see some thunderstorm development today in eastern Texas right around the afternoon hours that are going to be very scattered, and we will see some thunderstorm activity in right around the panhandle of Texas, and this even extends to Wisconsin, Iowa, and states further northward, as like I said, a strong northerly flow will induce just enough unstable air in the atmosphere, along with high dew points will create that severe weather. And you see headed into the early morning hours, that mid-level low moves eastward, and we do see thunderstorms develop right around Wednesday night. So keep that in mind if you're in the Midwest. And then you see headed into day 3, that severe weather threat will move further southward and southeastward into Missouri. So keep a close eye on that. In terms of where exactly that severe weather, the worst of severe weather will occur, I expect the major severe weather threat to occur right around the Midwest. Moderate severe weather threat just outside that, and a minimal severe weather threat in the yellows and the green. So keep that in mind. Now, a major severe weather threat is expected. Major tornado, hail, and damaging wind outbreak is likely in the red and the oranges. So keep that in mind, especially even into the Northeast where you aren't typically used to severe weather. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. And I hope you guys have a good day.